Welcome back to HPL. We're the PvP Live Studios here in Frisco, Texas. I'm joined by Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora. I am the Tannen Grayson. We're about to, get into match match 3 in just a minute, but how about that match 2? Purple came out just blistering through it and won 3-0 over Jab.
Yeah, Argent Squire and his Hunter decks as well, and they were clearly face Hunter decks. He had Wolf Riders and Arcane Golems to couple with them, and even kind of throwing a little bit of a curveball in there with Druid with a copy of Ancient War, and he also claims there was a copy of Black Knight in that Druid deck,
and
as
Sunwalker.
well as Sunwalkers.
Yeah.
So a very, very against the grain choice from him. I don't think, outside of Purple, I haven't seen someone play Sunwalker in months.
I've actually watched his stream a little bit lately. He's been streaming a lot of Ramp Druid lately, and he has a lot of very interesting cards in it, stuff like Sunwalker and Black Knight. He just keeps talking about that. Everyone's playing these giant taunt minions. They can't deal with them, and no one's playing Black Knight. So he's got a little bit leg up, so watch out for that, guys, here in HPL. He might be getting you with that soon.
Yeah, Jab also queuing up a Shaman deck in Game 1. Shaman has not had a very good record so far here in HPL, and despite the fact that he was able to have a beautiful opening curve, wasn't able to keep the board under control.
Yeah, not at all. And you know what? Let's get into match 3. Let's talk about who we're going to have here in our third match. We have Dog versus Zalae in our third match, and as you said, Zalae's sitting at 2-2, the fellow Archon, but Dog is at 4-0 right now. He's looking to be the second person with a 5-match winning streak here in HPL. And what I want to talk about with these two players in setting up this match is blowback. Now, what is blowback? That is the damage that a player intentionally does to themselves to gain an advantage in some way, like using a weapon and leveraging their life total to do damage to a player, and to do damage to a minion and clear it off the board. Now, what I really want to talk about with Dog is he's got a 4.8 blowback score here in HPL. He's been finding wins even though he's got low blowback scores in classes like Hunter, Druid, and Rogue. These classes, you traditionally see them get a lot of blowback because they're leveraging their life total a lot with it. Now, you usually associate them taking a ton of damage to get that advantage with those classes, but he hasn't been doing that. He's been finding play lines and has strategies that sometimes get around this. But there is the other end of the spectrum. He's played 2 Warlock games here in HPL. When you think of Warlock, you think of him taking a lot of damage to get advantage. He's 1-1 with that class here in HPL. In his win, he used his life total a lot to his advantage in that match. Drew a lot of extra cards, did a lot of damage to himself to gain an advantage, and won. In his loss, he was never able to get anything like that going. He had a really low blowback score, and it cost him, and he didn't win that game. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about how the Dog that we're seeing now versus the Dog that we're seeing 6 months ago. Not to say that he wasn't any of these things before, but you're seeing them kind of be highlighted in his effects now. Despite the fact that he's been so successful, especially recently, he's remained very humble in that regard. In his interview, he was talking about Super JJ and his opponent in that one. He wasn't approaching that match from the perspective of Super JJ being his teammate or anything. He just said that Super JJ was a very strong player, and that's how he approached the match. He's been treating every single one of his matches like it's a challenge presented before him, and that he's going to tackle all of them with 100% focus. He's really been giving it his all, and he's slowed down his play tremendously. Half a year ago, Dog, he played very fast in a lot of his matches. He would blister through his turns. But now we're seeing him be a lot more mindful of the options that are in front of him, in kind of really slowing down that pace and making sure he's considering everything. And he's also been working on his games a ton. Even this weekend, we were seeing him stream. He streamed 3 matches at once. He was playing on NA, on EU, and on the Asian server. A ton of practice has been coming on from Dog, and it's been paying off a lot for him.
Yeah, and you know what? His matchup today, he's going to need a lot of practice because his opponent, Zalae, is very, very good. Now, when we talk about blowback with Zalae, he's got a 6 score coming in here in HPL. He's averaged a 6 so far here. Now, Zalae, he's seen success a lot with Hunter and with Druid so far here in HPL. He's 6-2 combined with those classes. Now, we've seen him be very selective with his life total, though, in those games. He's been picking his spots on when to leverage that life total and to use it as a resource and gain advantages. And it's showing in a lot of his wins. His 2 losses so far here in HPL are against Jab and Nyria, 2 very strong players with great records. And even with those 2 losses against those 2 great players, he has a 52.9% win rate here in HPL in games. So that means he's winning more than half his games, but he's still 2-2. So he's always a dangerous player that you need to be mindful when you're facing him, and that he's a big task to deal with.
Yeah, something that I want to talk about with Zalae is, kind of like Purple, he was off to an even start here in HPL, and this is a very big momentum match for Zalae. Again, he'll be a third of the way through the season after this match, and he's either going to have a winning or a losing record. That's a lot of pressure that you have to deal with in those situations. Now, there's still plenty of play left, but it's really kind of surprising to see Archon in this situation. They're one of the biggest names in Hearthstone. You expect these guys to win. I mean, even when the Yankees don't win the World Series, it's not because they had a bad record. They just didn't win the World Series. And so that, for them, that's a consideration of a bad season. It's just not winning the World Championship. Doesn't mean that they had a terrible record, but that's sort of the same situation that Archon is coming into now. You expect these guys to win a World Championships. A losing record is something that I don't expect them to have, and the fact that they're off to a little bit of a rocky start, considering that name, that's a very big surprise to me.
Yeah, it's a very big surprise to a lot of people. Now, if we talk about the keys to success, I think, Admiral, you want to talk a little bit about what Dog has to do in this match to overcome the big Archon menace that Zalae is going to bring to him.
Yeah, I think if we're going to talk about the keys to success for Dog, something that I really want to talk about versus Zalae specifically is to be ready for weapons. We've seen Dog play Hunter. We've seen Zalae play Hunter. We've seen him play Rogue, and we've seen him play Warrior, and he's played them a lot. In those classes, weapons are a very centerpiece for them, and Zalae's been using them kind of more aggressively than he has defensively in those matchups. I think if Dog is going to tackle this match, that's potentially a very big focus point for him. And the second thing I think he needs to do is avoid early aggression. Zalae has come very prepared to deal with the early game. Again, Rogue, fantastic with cards like Backstab and SI7 Agent. Warrior, fantastic with cards like Fiery War Axe and Armorsmith. And Hunter, that's just a fantastic deck. I mean, it's got pretty much the giant minions that are in the early game. Stuff like Leper Gnome and Mad Scientist. For 1 and 2 mana, those are great cards. I think if Dog's going to win this match, he needs to kind of focus away from being the aggressor in the early game and be the one who's trying to control the action.
Hey, that sounds like a great way to beat Zalae. Now, what do I think Zalae needs to do to beat Dog? He needs to make Dog react to him. He needs to be more aggressive than him. Make him be the defensive one in the match, always reacting to what you're doing and having him change up his game plan. Don't let him dictate the pace of the match. Number 2, incorporate more classes. Maybe it's time to change it up a little bit. You've played a lot of Hunter and a few other classes, but you've played 0 games with Mage, 0 games with Paladin, 0 with Priest, and 0 with Shaman. Maybe not Shaman, but play something he isn't expecting. That's what I want to see out of you. Play something he's not expecting, don't get targeted, but be aggressive, and maybe you'll pick up this win against Dog.
Yeah, I think that he does need to switch up a little bit, but always a big key to be focusing on your strong suits. As far as who I think is actually going to win this match, who I think's really got the edge, I got to go with Dog in this one, honestly. Zalae, he's a fantastic player again, but he's off to a little bit of a rocky start. Dog is looking fantastic in his games. He's obviously been putting a lot of focus into it, and I would say now more than ever, Dog is taking Hearthstone as serious as you possibly can. I fully expect his win streak to continue tonight.
Yeah, those are really, really great points, and I have to agree with you. I'm taking Dog as well. But I think this is going to be one of the hardest matches he's had to deal with so far. Zalae, a great player, and he doesn't want to fall to a losing record 1/3 of his way through here in HPL. I expect it to be a big fight in a 5-game series, but I think Dog takes it home.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know who's got the advantage for yourself, you can head over to pvplive.net and see for yourself exactly what these players have done in the past, the strategies they've chosen, and how they choose to play them. And after you're done taking a look there, seeing their competitive histories, we want to know who you think's got the advantage. You can get up there on Twitter and use that hashtag HPL to let us know. You can also get on Facebook and like or comment on PvP Live's page. Let us know what you think over there. We'll be checking it out points during the show, and maybe we'll get some ideas of what you're thinking. Maybe we've overlooked something. I would say that we haven't because we've been looking at the stats all day, but you never know. When we come back, I'm sorry, we're not going to be coming back. Game 1 is actually going to be getting underway pretty soon here, but kind of, revisiting this match and looking at it, Dog, a very interesting player because he hasn't been having blowback be a very key focus of his games. He's just been focusing on pressure, and that's been working out beautifully for him. But we've seen a lot of players use their life as a resource and really try to get that extra edge. Every single resource matters. The fact that it's there in your life total as well, a very big talking point that Dog hasn't been really utilizing that.
Yeah, you can see it a lot in Dog's matches and the way that he plays his games. He tries to stick minions to the board. He's not super worried about when he's playing Druid, especially, about clearing out minions with his hero power and using his life total as a resource. He's looking to kill you as quickly as possible, and we're going to find out as quickly as possible what they're playing here in Game 1. Dog versus Zalae.
Yeah, I mean, this match, Game 1 is really going to set the pace here as well. Dog, early on, Mortal Coil, Dr. Boom, Lotheb in hand. Not a very big glimpse of exactly what he's playing right now, but Zalae, very clear that this is Grim Patron Warrior, and it's something that's right up his alley.
Yeah, we've seen it a decent bit from him here in his last couple matches, and we've been seeing it more and more here in HPL, the uptick of Grim Patron Warrior. and the winning percentage of it has just been going up and up here in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's such a strong deck. We've seen it 30-0 people multiple times, and now we're starting to get a much bigger glimpse into exactly what Dog is playing. This looks like Handlock to me, but there's still a small chance this could be Dragons.
Yeah, I think this is a great queue up from Dog here because a lot of the pros and people have been talking about that though Grim Patron Warrior might be the best deck in Hearthstone, the deck that has like the best matchups against it, that does the best against it, is Handlock. And you see Dog understanding that, knowing that Zalae might be queuing that up. You know what? He's brought a deck that's really good against it.
Yeah, Mountain Giant very telling of the fact that that's exactly what that is now. Zalae actually swings for the face with this Fiery War Axe on turn 2, and that's very interesting to me. Why exactly do you think he's doing that?
The fact that he has a Death Spite in his hand. He's going to want to clean out this weapon as soon as possible and get some damage in. Again, it's not great against things like Molten Giant, but he's going to be looking to get him at a life total that is doable from where he is. He wants to be able to get him down enough that at one point in time he can make 3 or 4 Grim Patrons in turn and kill Dog from there.
Yeah, I think it's exactly why he's doing it too. Just wants a little bit of extra pressure, keep Dog into sort of a danger spot where anytime Zalae has enough combo pieces he can push to end the game. And he's just going to choose to develop further, doesn't actually execute this Twilight Drake straight away. That 3 damage is going to face, doesn't care that he's taking his own damage to his own life total intentionally. I mean, this is a really kind of big focus point of these matches, guys, going kind of against what they've been doing so far in HPL.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to see that a lot from Dog in this game. We talked about it going into it. When he plays Warlock, when he uses his life total as a resource, he's been winning. When he's been drawing extra cards, and you're seeing him do that here. Look at his hand. It's just chock full of a ton of things to do over the rest of the game.
Yeah, actually, Dog's going to start applying pressure now, too. He sees that Zalae taking that damage intentionally is his window of opportunity to start pushing. Doesn't care about cleaning up the board position.
Oh, yeah, when he sees Zalae take that 4 last turn, you have to start pushing on him.
Well, that's very different than what we saw Sho do in his match when he was playing Handlock versus Patron. He was attacking Mountain Giants into Gnomish Inventors. Dog doesn't attack a Twilight Drake into a Gnomish Inventor.
Yeah, I think he's going to put the onus on Zalae that if you want to start doing trading, if you want to start doing something like that, I'm going to make you do that. And my minions are so much bigger, it's harder to deal with that.
Yeah, Zalae, I don't think he's going to be trading anytime soon. I mean, look at this. He's just swinging away for the face. But now at this point,
the Dog might not do it now.
Yeah, now the Dog is at this 17 life total. This is where he's going to start to consider the implications of Molten Giant. What exactly that means for how much damage you're dealing.
Yeah, and that's an intentional no attack there. Yeah,
deliberately does not attack in this position, and Dog's going to think he's going to start taking full advantage of that. Emperor Thorson coming down safely on this turn.
Yeah, I fully expect him to kill a Gnome.
But now the fact that now he goes back to killing Gnomish Inventors. This game has been kind of wildly different in how players seem to be attacking this. I mean, Zalae attacked a Twilight Drake with a Fiery War Axe and then put all his minions into opponent's face. Dog attacked face and now he's attacking minions. What's going on?
You see this happen a lot when pros are playing against each other. Once someone makes a strange play, once someone deviates from the norm at all, so many things go off in the back of all their heads. They're like, what does this mean? Big draw of execute here for Zalae in the middle of this tangent. Like, what does this mean? Like, what kind of hand does he have? Is he doing this? What does it mean for me? And then you see all bets are off at that point, and crazy things start to happen.
Yeah, crazy things indeed. And Zalae, I think there's a very good chance he doesn't actually even use this execute this turn. The fact that he's got Death Spite and the Unstable Ghoul in his hand, he could just start sitting back behind what he's got and going from there. But he saw Dog attack his face on that one turn. Is he going to be in a position now where he feels comfortable using his life total very liberally in that regard? Maybe he's second guessing himself a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to figure out how he's going to set up his game for the rest of the, how he's going to set up himself for the rest of the game. And yeah, you're going to see this execute. I thought there was a chance you're going to see something like Unstable Ghoul this turn and really set up a big Battle Rage next turn, but he can still do that next turn as well and just draw a ton of cards.
Yeah, Jiraxis added into Dog's hand. And still a deliberate non-attack from Zalae. He's being very patient now that Dog is down to this 17 life total. And I have to wonder to myself, if he wanted Dog to be at 17 and that was the spot he wanted to be at, why did he put him at 17 to begin with? Because Dog can start using that life tap to put himself even lower. If Molten Giant was really a concern of his, I guess maybe the big factor is that he wants to force Dog into using that mana on his terms rather than Zalae putting him at that spot and then having the liberty to play the Molten Giants whenever he was free to do so.
Well, Zalae didn't know that Dog had 9 cards going into this turn, so he's up to 10. So Dog, it's going to be hard for him to life tap and do a bunch of stuff this turn because he has to play a spell first.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And Dog sort of he's going to go with Ancient Watcher here, and it looks like he wants to play a Sludge Belcher to go along with it. Going to continue to life tap, put himself lower and lower so that he can find those key Molten Giant turns. And Sludge Belcher, again, going to be added behind this. But this is a very dangerous spot for Dog, and you can see him. I think he's a little bit uncomfortable given that Zalae has the potential to draw a ton of cards in this turn.
Yeah, Zalae can draw a ton of cards this turn, but good for Dog that he doesn't have anything like Grim Patron or Frothing Berserker just yet, but Zalae is going to draw a ton of cards this turn.
Yeah, this is looking really, really grim for Dog now. I mean, he's got Hellfire in his hand to help clear out this board position, but Zalae, no pun intended, Zalae has plenty of opportunities to now start to get the combo pieces he needs. Doesn't have any of it quite yet, though. I mean, no Frothing Berserker. That's the first Frothing Berserker. Yeah. He doesn't have a Warsong Commander, doesn't have a Grim Patron. I mean, this hand is not the best hand I've seen Zalae ever draw.
No, not at all. And Dog can really start to turn the pressure on here very, very soon. He has 2 Molten Giants in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, Hellfire is going to be fantastic looking next turn. And then maybe even the Ironbeak Owl just to start pushing through a little bit of damage with this Ancient Watcher. There's a lot of different things he can do in this situation, and it's a matter of how he wants to attack with it. This next draw, I think, is going to influence a lot of that. I mean, he already has a ton of options, but he's going to have one more next turn.
Yeah, I mean, Dog, great hand going forward from here. As you said, Zalae missing a card or two as we go forward.
Wow, Inner Rages his 4-1 just to get extra cards out of his hand. Doesn't want to be in a position where Dog's able to burn what's going on. I think this is actually pretty heads up here from Zalae. The fact that he hasn't drawn a Warsong Commander and hasn't drawn a Grim Patron, I think very much factoring into that decision.
Yeah, if you burn one of those cards, you feel like you almost can't win from this point. Would just be disastrous on his side of the board.
Yeah, hand control actually been a really big talking point for both of these players so far. But speaking of hand control,
well, there's a Grim Patron as well.
Yeah, so I mean, Zalae's putting together a lot of stuff now. Still missing that key piece though. Needs something like Warsong Commander to really get all these pieces rolling. Doesn't have an Execute, doesn't have a big Game Hunter.
Well, he needs to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, he has to do it now. He's facing down 2 Molten Giants. Dark Bomb's hitting Zalae in the face. This was the massive swing turn the Dog was looking for. This is why this deck is so dangerous, is when it gets to this point, it has these kinds of positions happen.
Yeah, and he needs to take care of both of these Giants here. If even one of them is left over, even if he takes care of the Sun Fury Protector, he has Lord Jaraxxus to finish off here, even as Zalae goes up to 11 here.
Yeah, this might be a big double Armorsmith turn for Zalae, and to really try to fortify this board position and then hunt for the right cards later on, because when you're facing down this much damage, you have to do something about it.
Now, do you slam one of Dog's minions, or do you play Armorsmith, slam your own Armorsmith? I mean, he's doing a ton of math here because he has to figure out how to win from this point as well. He has like Frothing Berserker and Acolyte of Pain, so he has a ton of things to do that way, but he only has 8 mana this turn. He hasn't had Emperor Thaurissan in this game, which is super important to this deck.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like this is going to be Unstable Ghoul and then a Whirlwind behind this and try to get himself enough health to live. That's going to be 4 armor, and then Unstable Ghoul's coming out down afterwards to try to get the extra ones. Doesn't want the Unstable Ghoul to be in range of the Sun Fury Protector's turn, but it's not going to be enough because that Ironbeak Owl is going to completely run over Zalae this game. And so Zalae not able to find the right pieces to get things going. Dog able to draw all the cards he needs, get those 2 giant Molten Giants on board, and absolutely crush Zalae in the late game.
Yeah, you said it exactly right. You saw Zalae draw a ton of cards in that game and not find any of the ones he needed until it was just too late. Never got a Warsong Commander going. Really needed an Emperor Thaurissan there in the middle of the game to make his hand really cheap and really get that payoff whenever he draws the Warsong Commander. Didn't get either one of them. Didn't go his way. Dog's up 1-0.
Yeah, also wildly different game plans from both these guys, kind of swapping in the mid game, and Zalae having to stop attacking at some point in fear of something like Molten Giants. You know, I think this is the right play, but that's really the power of something like Handlock, is it puts your opponents in these positions where they can't afford to really be dealing you that damage in fear of Molten Giants coming out before you have an adequate chance of dealing with them. And then, of course, the impending doom of those Molten Giants always eventually going to be coming out. I mean, that's such a strong deck, it looks like, versus Grim Patron.
Yeah, just a great deck against Grim Patron. As we said, if Grim Patron is the best deck in the format, a lot of people have been saying that this is the answer to it right here in Handlock. Great queue up from Dog.
If you guys want to see exactly for yourself what happened in this match, you can head over to pvplive.net and take a look for yourself. The recap of this game, the full stats breakdowns, and everything that happened in that one, exactly turn by turn. So that's the game 1 is done now. Dog's out to a 1-0 lead, and Zalae, he's going to need to go back to the drawing board and figure something out if he wants to pick up game 2. They're changing their decks right now, but when we come back, game 2 is going to be getting underway. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.